I want to look like Phil in the dark.
I'm sorry?
I said, I want to look like Phil and be like in the witness protection
The witness
program.
protection.
Just call me Don Giovanni.
Yeah, he continues that tradition.
See.
Okay, thanks. I got the host.
Let's do this.
And Glenn is coming on. Knut, are you there?
Oh, I am. Sorry.
Gotcha, can hear you. Another couple minutes. Hi, Dennis.
Greetings.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, Glenn.
Hello.
Well, I'm pleased to mention I have re-entered the world of the employed.
Hey,
Yay.
Excellent. Congrats.
As in a full-time real job?
Full-time real job off of the freelance work, off of the contract work.
Excellent.
At a senior position designing with Intel. So that's going well. The thing is, a lot of time I'm on evening calls now with China because they're doing manufacturing.
Oh, yes, yeah.
No, it's demanding of my time, but
So the house goes on the back burner now?
well, no, it just means I can actually I can afford to start putting money back into the house because I'm actually, turning it, an income again. But I don't have as much time now, of course.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we'll give it about another minute here. Give a chance for some other people to come in there. Got the radio on. It sounds like there's some flights going on there.
the flight school is flying around doing night landings.
That's good. They buy gasoline and use the airport what it's supposed to be used for.
Well, they're running the pipistrelles over there, right? Are they burning avgas?
Nope.
No, but this is
That's,
the
that's true.
It's a
That's
few
true.
172s.
Knut, are you instructing with them?
I am kind of part-time.
There are two flight schools there now, right?
That's correct. They split into two again.
So are you on the one flying the 172s or the pipistrelles?
Well, Foothill Flight Center has both, and Max Aero has only 172s.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so
Okay, it's at 7:01. I'm going to call the meeting to order. It's 7:01 p.m. And do the roll call.
Knut
Gordon
Kirkward
is
is here.
Jeff's here.
Lynn and Jeff, and as well as me. We just have today, we have, as noted in the agenda, 4 board members, as we have 1 open seat for which we'll be discussing here under a new business. Pledge of Allegiance. Let's be stand by for a moment. You join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Flag of the United
States of America.
America.
To the
Republic for which it stands,
One
Under
nation,
indivisible,
under
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty
liberty and
justice
justice for all.
for all.
Was that out? Adoption of today's agenda. Let me bring that and share that screen. As I sort my way through here, I think this is it. Nope, that is not it. That is later on. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So today's agenda. I'll just scroll through if there's any comments, additions here by the board. I'll run through the usual finance reports, the airport manager report. Our standing items on update on procurement and contracts. Volunteer report. I did make one little update here. It turns out now it updated, it's 130 plus hours. Of course, public forum. Old business, where we'll be discussing the fuel system special meeting and the budget meeting. And get some various updates, and we'll talk under new business. The first item is to discuss the appointment. I think last item is the gate control policy, which we discussed last time and tabled it with, as we did some re-edits and brought it up, have it for this time. Any comments to the agenda?
Looks good to me. I'd like to move that we approve the agenda.
Second,
I vote yes.
I vote aye.
Yes.
Jeff, yes.
The agenda is adopted. Next up are the minutes from the last board meeting. Scroll through that. We had all the board members present with 9 public attending. We adopted the agenda and we adopted the minutes from the July 26th regular board meeting with a change.
Are you sharing it, Terry?
I am, do you see it?
No. You still see the,
So see the,
Okay, let me stop sharing that. Didn't share in words.
there we go.
that's better.
That is, okay, you see that. Okay, good. So we adopted the agenda, we adopted the minutes from the July meeting with a slight change in some dollar amounts. Talked about the fuel system and the containment for the repair, which we'll be talking about tonight. And a volunteer on the procurements, we talked about the fuel system study that was done. And we received the final invoice. Again, we'll be following up on that tonight. Volunteer hours last month. The comment here at Phil Albee provided about the wood fence. I think Dominic, that's a good point. We can handle that in the airport manager's report, where we are with that.
Yes.
That's okay. That's a good reminder. Old business, new business, and the proposal. The big thing that happened last week was adopting the proposed budget, which we did, and then the gate policy we discussed and then tabled. Comments, updates?
Sorry, just
Hearing none.
checking the bank information.
I'm sorry, say again?
Oh, I'm just checking because we got to bring this to the bank with the people with signature authority and debit card. You just want to check that. So it looks good.
Okay. Hearing no other comments, I make a motion to adopt the agenda. Adopt the minutes.
I will second that.
Motion.
I vote yeah. Aye.
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 The minutes from July 26th is adopted. Move on to committee reports. Knut, let's see, you can't see what,
I'm gonna have you stop sharing for a second. And then
okay, I'm gonna stop sharing.
and then you have to enable.
Let's see.
So if you go to, but
I'll put multiple participants. Is that, you should be able to share now.
okay, thank you. I'm going to share Adobe here. Let's start with the assessment district. The main thing, so again, this is financial statement as of the end of August. We had 94,000 in the redemption account. And I have seen that we have made the payment in September, which is the annual payment of principal and interest, which is about 75,000. And then we have about $20,000 left in the redemption for the payment that come up in March 2022. Our reserves are all up to date and above $90,000 as they are supposed to be. So that's the last year's payment unless we need it. So that all looks good. There has been absolutely no movement on the AD account. You'll see that next month. Let's look at the balance sheets for the airport or CPAD. Checking account 91,000. The airport reserve at 24,000. We have moved 15 from the CARES grant into this account. The restricted street maintenance account is now almost at 50. We just moved in the property taxes for last fiscal year, which was about $14,000. And then we have about $75,000 in the fuel accounts receivable account. And we just, I think Dominic can confirm this, we just requested 25 of that transferred into the general account. We had fuel delivery done on, let's see, September 21st, I believe it was, last Tuesday. And that would be about $32,000 for that 8,000 gallons of fuel. Any questions on our balances?
Yeah, what under,
Under what?
under the checking savings, cash Eldorado County Treasury?
Good question. I don't know why that's negative. Typically, that's the money that's sitting in the county that has to be paid out to us. Why it appears as negative, I don't know. I may have to investigate that and get back to you. I don't have a good answer for you right now.
Okay, just trying to do the math in my head. I guess it's, yeah, I mean, check that. I'm sure that should be, say that should be a plus. But I'm wondering if
You would think, I guess, unless we have money due that haven't been paid yet, or property taxes that haven't been paid yet. I guess that would be the other possibility.
so you check that.
But I will check that.
Okay.
All right, let's move on to the P&L statement with the budget. Don't get too pleasantly surprised with the limited spending that has happened because we have a lot of outstanding maintenance work that hasn't been billed yet. But our income looks about to be on track. We had very limited expenses in July and August because we didn't have any salary expenses. It was mostly operated by volunteers. We had the outside services was the contract for the fuel system placement and estimate, and utilities probably about the normal range for that. And I think that's the only expenses we've seen. We have expenses outstanding for hangar door repairs and the fuel containment, which we'll talk about coming up right now. So I think other than that, we are so far looking pretty good for this fiscal year. I don't know if there's any questions to this.
Yeah, on the our mobile phone, I think I sent you anything on it, but I replaced a mobile phone. The previous one died.
Mhm. Yes.
And I think that bill, we were carrying, turns out, a payment plan with the other phone. I paid that off, the new phone. I think the total bill is gonna be around $90.
Okay, so that should show up in next month's financial statements, correct?
It'll show up and there should be a slight reduction in the monthly bill.
Right.
Because they're not
Okay,
finding.
sounds All right, sounds good. Let me know if there's any questions on this.
Okay, did you what?
I'll stop sharing again.
Okay, I said you wanted to mention our grant, the CARES Act.
Actually, it's not a CARES grant. It's called the Airport Recovery Grant Program or something like that. ACRGP, Airport Coronavirus Recovery Grant, and we got 32,000 from that. So I just submitted the first invoice for that, and we'll continue that so we get that recovered.
It's very good. It's great to have the money. Let's say that's a significant thing for the.
Is there an earmark for that money, or is it just
You can use
survival
it
money? What is it?
You can expense or invoice payroll. You can invoice anything that's got to do with airport operations and utilities.
Mhm.
And once you have invoiced that, then the money you recover, they're not earmarked, they go into the general account.
Got it. Thank you.
But you can't invoice anything that's got to do with revenue generating or new projects and things like that, unless it's related to sanitation and things like that at the airport.
As we've talked over quite a number of prior board meetings, with Measure P not passing, we're lucky in the sense we're getting the CARES money, because that about made up at least for 1 year's worth of money we would have gotten from Measure P.
Mhm.
But the pandemic will end. So yeah, it's kind of what you said, Glenn. It's kind of survival money. It's making a big difference. Dominic, airport manager report.
All right, so firstly, we can knock out the 2 bullet points at the start for the fuel system repair status and the hangar door maintenance status. It's been radio silent since I started, and I've tested them a couple of times with emails. So this next week is just going to be hounding them on the phones and tracking down why they haven't been getting back to us at all, and making sure that we're getting that taken care of as soon as possible. The ground reel for pump 2 was actually replaced this afternoon by Marion. He was there fixing that. So our ground reel for pump number 2 has been repaired. We just need to have the replacement clamp that's coming in. The current one works, it's just that it's not a large clamp. So we have one that's coming in that's more suitable for more aircraft. In terms of other repairs, firstly, the fence that's next to the gate on United Drive that we talked about earlier and at the last meeting that was falling apart. The El Dorado County Department of Transportation got back to me last week, and they have crews that are currently further north, but they're going to be coming back in around mid-October to fix that gate, that fence area for us. So we're not going to have to do anything. It's all on their end. Other repairs have to do with other parts of the fuel farm. Michael Blackburn from the quality assurance team for Epic came out last week on Wednesday, and he kind of did a short walkthrough of all the different, basically did kind of an inspection of what we have, and things that we need in order to keep up with compliance are BC fire extinguishers. So one of the fire extinguishers that we have now is currently water, which wouldn't do very much for an aircraft fire. And then we actually have a ABC fire extinguisher, which I've been told is not as potent for a aircraft fire, as is regular BC, and both of those tanks are in 10-pound range versus 20-pound range, so we don't have too much coverage if we do have a fire. So looking into the cost of getting two 20-pound ones off of fireextinguisherdepot.com, it runs into about $350 total. So that's for two fire extinguishers at about $175 each. And then the hoses that we have on the fuel pumps have reached the end of their useful life. They actually reached the 10-year mark this quarter. And it was Michael Blackburn's recommendation to replace those as soon as possible, because once they've reached the end of their life cycle, you can't really determine how long they will last. And there's significant wear that is apparent on the pump number 2 hose. So looking into that, a replacement for those, since Goodyear is no longer in existence, another company has taken over, or Goodyear making those fuel pumps doesn't exist anymore. But the company that took over the exact same fuel pump makes a 50-foot, 1.5-inch, 300 PSI fueling hose, which is the exact length and diameter that we have now, for $814.93. So in total, that's going to be about $1,600 to replace both of the hoses. And then the last thing when it comes to repairs is that the gauges that are on the fuel pumps, there's no date to show the last time that they were calibrated. And so that's something that if the fuel filters are not working, or if there is other issues happening with the fuel pump, when the county comes out to inspect it, they can't confirm when the last time they were calibrated to show the correct PSI. So Michael Blackburn also suggested getting replacements for those and just replacing the 4 that we have, putting in new ones that we know are calibrated, and then sending the old ones out to be calibrated separately. And then we can keep those as spares and just switch them out as time goes on. And those cost about $7 each. So that comes out to about, if we get 4, it's going to be about $28 plus tax to have those replaced. But those are the key things that need to be replaced for right now. And then fuel sales, our fuel sales were significantly down in comparison to last year at this time. We sold about 3,125 gallons, which is off by 1,483 gallons from last year. A lot of that has to do with fire and the smoke, keeping a lot of people from wanting to fly and come around this area for refueling. But the epic fuel prices have been on a consistent downtrend. So we were able to lower our fuel prices to about $5.069. So that makes us competitive with the other airports that are local, so around the area. Our work party on September 12th was a great success. We had a lot of people coming out. We had about 15 people or so people come out with their own weed whackers. And we were able to get a lot done, clearing out all of the weeds that were around all the landing lights and around the wind tee. We were also able to cut down a lot of different trees for fire abatement behind the flight center hangar, and also touch up the paint work that was around the fuel pit. So that was a lot of great work by a lot of great people. So it was greatly appreciated, and it made a huge impact. Going forward, mowing plans wise, I reached out to the fire captain at Station 88 and the fire marshal. Both of them advised against using bladed mowers still. There was talk about possibly doing it on a real high humidity morning, and you can only do it for a short while the grass is wet. And they would still recommend having someone following behind with at least a water fire extinguisher, just so that way it couldn't come out. So they still suggest waiting until we've had more rain before we start tackling any large areas for cutting grass. But hopefully with rain showing up soon, we'll be able to tackle more of that.
Dominic, on the the fire extinguishers and hoses and the pressure gauges, what I think we could do is maybe we can write that up. Write it up and we can propose that at the next, or discuss that at the next board meeting.
Okay,
Gonna go do that, because I don't think any of those are terribly urgent, gotta do now.
it's not immediate, but it's stuff that needs to be tackled soon rather
I
than like,
expect there'll be some installation costs too. I
The
don't know if
fire
you can,
extinguishers may require, you know, our current 10-pound ones sit in the breakable plastic boxes.
Mhm.
And that may be an additional thing we gotta look into for putting the 20 pounds.
Yeah.
But
I had a question on the fire extinguisher too. We only need one 20-pound BC, right? The other one for water, I think, is for walking behind the mower and things like that you mentioned. Not
yeah,
for the fuel.
we were technically cleared on that. It was just a compliance thing of having, it's written up as having one for each pump. And
Oh,
then
I see. Okay,
it's, we have technically one that's an ABC fire extinguisher, and then the other one counted as the water
Hmm,
fire extinguisher that's next to the spill kits.
okay. So I remember we do have a local company we use to come out and service the fire extinguisher once a year. I don't know if you checked with them.
Yes, I can check with them and see about their costs. It was just finding something more on a
Right.
wholesale versus having to go in and get a quote
Mhm.
from them, but it's Hangtown. And
Hangtown, yeah, exactly.
I can reach out to them and just get a comparisons on prices.
Just one more question, if I may. So has the county or Matt come back with any complaints about the containment not being repaired yet?
They have not said
Okay.
anything. They've been CC'd on all
Okay, yeah.
in this recent one. They haven't sent anything in response. So I think they're understanding of the situation. It's just getting easy to move and actually begin repairs.
Right. Yeah, make sure you keep them in the loop. That's good.
Newt, from what experience in this, should we try to engage Johnson? mean,
I was
would-
actually thinking about that maybe we should ask him to take over, but I don't know, because BC, they have the testing equipment too. When they do the repair, they can do the testing right then and there. If it's Johnson, he has to request a Florida test to come out, and that's not cheap to do the actual testing of the containment.
So it sounds like we'll continue to press BZ.
It would be ideal if they could finish it, and I think it's part of the original contract they have, so I don't know what the problem is.
Good. This is Phil.
Yeah.
And my question would be, do we have to ask for another extension on the time to repair those? Repair the pumps just to cover ourselves versus, well, they know we're okay. I don't know if we want to ask for a formal extension on the time where we don't get bit somewhere in the process of all of it.
It doesn't hurt. I mean, what we've done so far is make sure that the county is involved in all the requests we've made for them to come out and finish the job of the containment repair, so. And,
A quick letter to extend that time might be something to
Yeah.
have in your file,
okay,
is not having it.
all right, so,
Okay.
I don't know, Dominique, if you could contact Matt then and just check that we are good on the extension on,
I'll email him separately and
that would be good.
know the situation and ask for a formal letter so that way we can show going down the road.
Sounds good.
Anything else, Dominic?
No, I'm all good.
Excuse me. Hey, thank you.
Yeah, and at the containment, we just make sure our insurance is contingent upon the repair being done as well. So we really need to get it done. We were given, they would actually only renew the insurance if once we had it repaired, we are going to report that to the insurance company as well.
We're gonna get that repaired certainly before the rain, so we're gonna get that flooding with groundwater.
Yeah.
As far as procurement and contracts, the RP for the fuel system, that there was the study that was paid, to our consultants. Be scheduling within the next month or few weeks a specific meeting to talk about the fuel system, the study, and the risk with our current system, and kind of to talk about how we should move forward on this. Because we've talked many times before, our fuel system is potentially a huge liability for us. And then we just talked about the repairs, which we originally agreed an NTE of $4,000, but may go up after we do the other repairs. For volunteers, as Dominic mentioned, we had a great turnout, particularly for the work party. Let me pull up my and reshare here. Everybody see this?
Yes.
So we did this month about 130 hours. I think my count is a little bit low we said by 15 people. Most noticeably was the work party on September 12th to clear the weeds and stuff, as Dominic mentioned. Had a great turnout in that. I won't read this off, but has a number of things have happened here, including repairing broken runway lights, continuing, Diane continuing to do the content and posting for the Facebook, meeting preparations, and also want to note the extensive administrative work that Canute has done preparing the fuel report, invoices for the airport. Canute, what's the proper name of what we just received? I keep calling it CARES money. But anyway, he's
No, the name is ACRGP if you want it, but it doesn't
AC
flow as nicely as CARES.
But know that Canute has spent a considerable amount of time working that. Then also 2 weeks ago now, both Dominic and I attended virtually the Association of California Airports Conference. It was originally going to be held in South Lake Tahoe, but because of the smoke fires and so forth, they went to their plan B, which was a virtual. And Dominic, on that subject, any comments from the conference?
Yeah, so it was interesting because it was definitely, we were one of the smaller airports that was there. So there was a lot of attendance that had larger scale problems, but we still had stuff that directly translated to us. So it was engaging with the community for volunteers. It was also looking into the future of fueling, which was actually pretty interesting because since we are a California airport, there's a lot of push for alternative fuel compared to 100 low lead. So there's talk about 94 UL, as well as some other fuel systems that are out there, but they're not really getting as much traction as 94 UL. So it's addressing those issues that are going to be coming up into the future. It was also talking with airports about what was happening with the EPA and how you can protect yourself when it's coming to the EPA, so you don't have situations that was happening down in the Bay where they were threatening to shut down airports because of high lead that they were detecting. And it was the manager of San Carlos actually went through and walked for each of the steps to make sure that if the EPA does come to your airport, this is how you can make sure that they're taking appropriate readings, so that way you're not getting caught off guard by stuff like that. So it was very informative.
Will EPA, or I should say, would Cal EPA not trump that, but would they come in place of EPA, or are you talking about Cal EPA?
It was Cali.
The air board, CARB.
Yeah, from what my understanding was the Cal EPA.
Okay.
And one of the things that was asked, as these unleaded fuels for aviation come online, is there going to be any money to help airports switch over or do anything?
Right.
There's no plans right now. I mean, it's kind of, I guess, held out as some type of possibility in the future, but it's still too early.
Yeah, and the cost right now, it is, costs money to do this, obviously, but something we should keep in mind as we go forward is that if we're able to bring in these alternative fuel systems, there's a good chance we're going to sell more of it because we have a lot of people on the airport, both sides of the airport, who are not buying fuel currently because they're bringing in auto fuel from an outside source to run on Rotax engines, including the flight school. So there might be more in fuel sales if by going over to UL 94 system.
Agree, Glenn. It's something, I think we're just at the very kind of beginnings of that now that there's alternative fuels beginning to be available and approved. Something we're going to have to go consider.
Right.
And there's no, I think, any real discussion of transition plan. Someday the leaded fuels are going to go away, but how is that going to occur? I think what I got out of it is still, it's an unknown. But it's coming.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dominic. Let's see. Just running through, we had the successful work party. Just kind of a couple of fun pictures here. We did do a briefing, talked about safety on a beautiful day. And then probably one of the first, we had to carefully plan and manage working next to the runway. Safety vests were issued. Dominic was out there monitoring the activities, and we used an air horn. If a airplane approached, she gave a toot on the air horn and everybody went away from the runway. Because otherwise you can't really hear anything with all that machinery running. But we got a lot done. This was all done with a string trimmer, so we didn't run into the sparks issue, but same time, we did have fire extinguishers and tools to put out in case something did happen. Cleaned out the wind tee. This was a great effort by Mark Egger and Susan Codwell, just the two of them. Raked it, pulled it, and then they went and put them in burn piles at the end. I think everybody got a good workout. And you can see in the lower corner, we started with this and then went over to the clean wind tee circle. It's been about 2 years since it was last cleaned out. Fuel island, spruced it up, painted the curb, the fuel caps. As Dominic mentioned, we cleaned out a bunch of the brush behind the flight school hangar. And then it came together with a great lunch prepared by Jean Thornhill, or hosted by Jeff and Jean Thornhill. And also we had just a few days ago, that date's wrong up there, but Mark Egger and his son are repairing the step on the light shed, which is kind of broken right at the end. So they're fabricating some wood that's going to fit up there and repair that step. It's a very, very nice thing. Didn't ask them to do it. They just found it was kind of getting a little sloppy there and go ahead and fix it. And it's just a list of all the activities here. And trying to track this. We're doing about this comes out to about 132 hours. However, I think it's underreported based on some other activities going on. Next opportunity right now in preparing for mowing is they're going to be doing tractor and mowing training tentatively right now. That's October 9th at 8 a.m. at Dave Becker's house. Given that we're likely going to have to wait for rains and then maybe a little while before we can do it, we'll confirm that. But once it's confirmed, there'll be announcements going out for that. And then followed by the mowing. That's it. So getting really good responses from the residents. Let me go back to. And it was fun. It was a lot of work, but it's fun. Now, public forum, public comment.
Yeah, Terry, on the mowing,
Yeah, Mike.
as soon as we get a release from fire, let me know. I'm ready to start doing that.
Excellent.
Unfortunately, the last work party you did and the one you just published on the 9th, I'm flying both of those, so I'm not available.
Okay.
But on the days that I am available, which is quite often during the week, I'm ready to start dragging that mower deck around as soon as.
Excellent. Excellent. We have a tractor now that kind of through Dave Becker's contacts, a relatively new tractor to pull the flail mower behind.
Okay.
So I think it'll be good as soon as we can get turned on. But just to emphasize what Dominic was saying, we got the read from Cal Fire and we want to or Cameron Park Fire, we want to maintain good relationships with them. While they couldn't tell us not to mow, they highly recommended against it.
Yeah, I almost went out the other morning after it rained and I thought I better not until somebody says it's okay. So.
Yeah, and even then, they, as Dominic mentioned, they want really somebody to kind of follow and handle any potential fire comes up. So as soon as we can, get that cut down. Thanks, Mike. On the public forum, any public comments?
Yeah, hi, my name is Tiffany Shiro and I am becoming a new hangar resident at Cameron Park. I've trained out of Oscar 61 and I've flown Patrick Solaris before, so I've been around for a while. Just thank you. I just want to introduce myself and thank you to all the board members for all your hard work. I know that you don't get enough thanks. And the website is wonderful, whoever put that together. So I just had a few questions. In airports that I've been involved with before, there's been like an airport advisory committee. And I'm not sure if Cameron Park has that. And the job of the airport advisory committee was any big changes or additions to the airport, they'd go out and do research before and then bring their research findings back to the board. Or if the airport was run by the county, back to whoever the county manager was or the city manager. So that's one question. Does Cameron Park have something like an airport advisory committee? And when Dominic has fixed all this, by the way, he's been great answering my questions. I've been trying to get to my airplane in the hangar and I couldn't get a card key until you guys voted on this card key change. So he says I can come in and get one tomorrow. My question is, every other airport that I've been involved with, it's usually not as much as 75, it's usually like 25, and there's usually not a renewal fee. So I was wondering how you came up with that. The $75 is neither here nor there. It's the least of a person who owns an airplane. It's the least of their worries, the $75 a year. It's just, I was just wondering how you came up with that because that's not a norm that I've seen at airports. The other concern is that when I was speaking to people about, well, how do I get a key card? How do I do this? How do I do that? A lot of the hangar owners, and when I talked to Dustin at Max Aero, they didn't have a lot of answers for me as far as knowing how to get this information. They're like, especially the hangar owners, they didn't know. So when reading the card renewal process, I'm a little bit concerned that people are going to become surprised. For example, when you're planning for a trip and the planning can be very time sensitive, like if you're planning for weather or it's a business trip and you need to get your passengers and all, the luggage, or I put a scooter in the back of my plane. If they get to the gate and their card no longer works and they have no idea of these changes, and that's the people I've talked to, nobody had heard about the card key changes. So that's a little bit of my concern that it's going to be voted on and people are going to come up surprised. Just the amount of time you've given and the notice you've given to people about the changes. A few other questions. I didn't see numbers on the hangars. I was looking at the application to fill out for the card key. I don't know if you just have a map with those numbers. How many transient spots do you guys have? And how do you collect these fees? Do they tag the planes or are you depending on people to come to a box to pay those transient fees? And now that my email is on file, will I get notices via email for the volunteer work parties and all that? Or do I depend on like Nathan Prince and the Facebook page? I heard that Diane's doing some of those updates also, because that's the only way that I've gotten information. And that's it. Thank you. Thank you for all your hard work. And I look forward to meeting all of you in person.
Well, hi, Tiffany, and welcome to
Thank you.
operating out of Cameron Airport. So we've already been flying out of here quite a bit. Appreciate your comments, and then we just try to address them. We are going to be, as you saw on the agenda, be talking about the gate, the policy there. So I think some of them I'm going to defer until we go that detailed formally and have that discussion there.
Okay.
And as you can tell, is that's also be an opportunity for people to to address and ask questions during that discussion about the gate policy too. We're not quite, we're relatively small and we want to be efficient. So, this is not the last time you can say anything. That's what I'm trying to say. But we do need,
Okay.
in general, of course, keep it under control.
Okay, but
But your question on your advisory committee, that'd be great. Are you volunteering?
I could, well,
We don't
I'm not
have,
I'm not a Cameron Park, Air Park resident, so I know I can't be part of the board, but yeah, I wouldn't mind, looking into how other advisory committees are, I was involved. I have a nonprofit where we rescue, we fly dogs and cats and animals from high kill shelters to their forever homes. So I was involved a lot with the Rio Vista Airport because that's where our headquarters is. And they have an advisory committee there that I was involved with. So I can ask them, and sure, I can volunteer, just bring that information back to the board and see if you would be interested in something like that.
and one of the potential, ways to do is also talk to Dominic. We
He's been
don't,
great.
yes, he's doing great. But you say we don't, it'd be nice if we had a separate advisory committee. It'd also be nice if we had, a pilots association, but we don't have any of that. The volunteers on the board are, for the most part, pretty active in kind of keeping the airport going, and we have a lot of other great set of volunteers. We have a infrastructure finance committee, which right now hasn't met for a while because it completed kind of its initial task. But beyond that, we don't have any other separate committees. It's really just a matter of people helping out. So if there's a way you can help out with that and give information, that'd be great.
Okay, and a lot of it's just like getting information out to residents. And so it would take me a while to get caught up with how you do things and not step on toes.
And as far as how we do things, we have been in the process, particularly for about the last 2.5 years, of really kind of, lack of a better term, cleaning up and the processes and how we do things. It had been kind of informal and, like the original gate card system, and it just kind of happened. It seems, it appeared to me. And so for the last 2.5 years, we've been trying to clean up systems. 2.5 years ago, we had to deal with the airport lights, losing our night permit. That soaked up a lot of hours to go do that. And I'm trying to raise money to keep the airport going. So to kind of answer your question, it's not like there's a firm policy now and then we're trying to change it. We're putting in the policy. Again, we'll talk about that more what we're implementing, but the main reason is driving is to get kind of control of the access to the airport. We don't want cars going out there that we don't know who they belong to, where anybody could just access the airport anytime. They may not even, have no reason to be there.
Right.
So it's a liability and safety concern. So we're trying to straighten that up. But that's fundamentally why. So nothing has been put into place now. So nobody's going to get their cards turned off.
Okay, all right, great.
So because we haven't, as a board, approved it. What you saw in the last board meeting was a proposal to discuss, and through that discussion, it got tabled essentially to what we're going to be doing now.
Right. And when
we're
I
not-
mentioned that, some of the hangar owners went back and read just a few the minutes and said, oh, good, it says no renewal fee, $25. And so that seems changing. And so they didn't see what was happening here at tonight's meeting, or they might have given more input.
No, they'd be notified in the ways we notify that through the emails and the account, but we want to minimize the surprises.
It would
Dominic,
also
you got anything to add?
Sorry, Terry. The other thing is that there's also phone numbers on file as well. So it would be going through and contacting either through email or through phone number. I would prefer phone number because I can just contact people as soon as possible. And it's reaching out to them to see, one, if they still have their card, and two, let them know about the policy change. So it's not just shutting off everyone's card and then they're coming in and having to talk to me when it shut off. It's letting them know, hey, you need to come in so we can go through this policy, sign the new agreement if it passes, and go through there and get it signed. So there shouldn't be anyone just showing up to the airport and they're keeping the work.
Thank you, Tiff. Thank you, Tiffany. Are there any other comments? With that, continue on to old business. I mentioned we will be scheduling a, lack of a better term, a fuel system special meeting. That'll be reviewing the consultants' reports, where we are in the system, the risk, and discuss the options for going forward on that to replace our below ground with an above ground. Following that, and this is not new, we've been talking about this like the last several months, going to have a public district financial status meeting and issues. Talk about where we are on the budget and the short-term and long-term status of the airport and how and the streets. So look for that. I would really like to have that in person. If at all, we can do that in a reasonable amount of time. And then we'll be also at that point talking about with the possible coming up of additional measures here for next year. Dave Becker is not with us, I don't believe. Nope, he's not wanting to get a status on where we are with the obstruction mitigation going on up in Sudbury. Also from the street jurisdiction. Also note that the audit will be starting and will now be an annual audit in October. Could you comment then?
Yes, we're going to start October 7th, meeting at the office and compiling all the stuff that the auditor has requested. And this time we will be doing 2 years, 1920 and 2021. And then going forward, as you said, we will try to do it on an annual basis instead. But we'll be doing 2 fiscal years this time. And it starts October 7th.
And thank you, Knut, for monitoring that and handling that. I know that's quite a bit of time and work. You want to comment on the debit card and the signature authority following up from previous?
I don't really have much to say. Last board meeting, we approved who's going to be on the account. So Dominic and I, excuse me, are going to go to Eldorado Savings Bank probably either late tomorrow or Wednesday, whenever we can set up an appointment and get that dealt with. So then we'll come back with paperwork that you have to do about 30 signatures per person that needs to be on the account.
And thank you for doing that. Cops and Rodders. Julie Bolin, who I know very well, I think is on. And she led up the airport or the airplane side of for Cops and Rodders. Julie?
Yeah, just real quick. We had a super successful community event. Fortunately, we were very lucky. The smoke was not there and we had great weather. Had a lot of people, and according to Brent, the CHP, what I want to say, organizer rep, that this is probably the biggest event that we've ever had of attendance. And we had the 2 bands with Dan and Cheryl donating their band and their time for that. And then we also had a last minute flyover by Chuck and Jimmy and Julie, which was well received, and the neighborhood provided a great airplane presence. So it turned out really well. That's it.
Thank you, Julie. New business. First item, I'm sorry, go ahead, Mike.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but on Cops and Rodders, I think we need to give a shout out to you and Julie. You guys worked your butt off on this thing. And I have had endless emails and text messages and Facebook comments on the success of Cops and Rodders. And I know you guys had a lot to do with that. So we need to give you guys our thanks and appreciation.
Well, thank you very much, Mike. It was really Julie really organized and led it, and kind of really on relatively short notice, she went to one of the planning meetings by the CHP senior volunteers. They were occurring once a week. She originally went to kind of represent me because I couldn't be there, just to kind of take notes and find out what's going on. And it came out of that meeting that the airplane side was not being handled at all, and she stepped up and took it over.
Yeah, she did a great job. I know my driveway was packed all day long.
I saw that.
And thank you for bringing your jet in. That was a great draw. Thank you so much, Mike. So big success, and I emphasized, not only did it raise money for charities that the CHP senior volunteers do, and we do as CPAD get a little bit from the parking on that, about $1,000 or so. But it also is great community relationship with the airport. It draws a lot of people from the surrounding area here that, you know, have to deal with the airplanes all flying around all the time. And yeah, it helps keep this airport popular. We're very fortunate. We get really good support. So plan is to do it next year. New business, open board seat. As I think everybody knows here, our previous president, Burl Skaggs, resigned effective August 24th to move on to a new chapter in his life. He's moved out of the community here. With that, the vacancy was filled, or is in the process of being filled, by CPAD policy 123. I just summarized here. This actually went out, the announcement. It's required to be announced that the vacancy is no, not less than 30 days before the board would have its meeting to make an appointment. Interested persons then would be contact actually the airport manager and submit an application by within 2 weeks before the board meeting where they would be selected at, which is September 13th. And so we received one really good application for that, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight. And see if I could bring this up. Well, lack of that. So this appointment is to fill out the term to December of next year. So if that person wanted to continue on the board, they would need to go through the elections. It's a similar thing. What I did, I was initially appointed and went to elections last year. So Diane Schroff was the only person who expressed interest and submitted an application. She submitted September 5th. Very impressive, and I think very well qualified. Diane, would you like to give us kind of a quick background on you? Since I don't have your application up.
Well, thank you, Terry. Background on me, I'm a recent Air Park resident and homeowner here. I am a private pilot and working on my commercial rating, and also an airplane owner. My background is education. I went to the University of Illinois in engineering, and I have a master's in business and administration. And I've spent a long time in the Bay Area in high-tech marketing and finance. And so those are the skills that I would like to bring to this team of volunteers. And my passion is aviation, and then of course the park and the airport where I live. Was there something specific you were looking for, Terry, other than that?
No, I think that's a good summary. Thank you. Any comments by any of the board members? Hearing none.
Hearing none.
Yeah,
I'd
thank
like-
you, Diane, for signing up. I appreciate it. That somebody's engaged in the airport.
Terry, what position are we filling?
This is a board member position. Then within that, the board will, as of right now, I'm the president, but per the policy, at the beginning of next year, then we revote the offices. So I think to
Correct.
address what you're asking is, it's not a specific position other than just board member to fill that seat. And then we take a look at it again coming up. Things can change any time, but the normal process, I think, is in January. So I'd like to make a motion to appoint Diane to the vacated board seat.
I second that motion.
I vote aye.
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 So the motion passed, and now I'd like to ask our board secretary, Jeff Robertson, to administer the oath of office.
Congratulations, Diane.
Well, thank you. Thank you, everyone. I look forward to working with all of you. I'm excited for it.
So this is about the third swearing in I've done in my lifetime, so excuse me if I screw it up. So,
Well, please take it in small chunks.
okay. Okay, raise your right hand, repeat after me. I state your name,
I won't say I statement. I, Diane Sharif,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Thank you, everyone.
Congratulations, Diane. And with that, your position is effective immediately.
Welcome, Diane.
Thank you.
Next agenda item is a review of the gate policy. Let me bring that up. This was sent out in the meeting notice. Can you see this?
Yeah.
So at last month's meeting, we looked at the previous version of this that Burl Skaggs had put together. And during that meeting, there was a number of comments and changes, and then we got to the extent that we said need to take more time to review it and make those changes. This version here is based on the revised version that Burl put together, plus some additional information that I put, some additional changes and stuff I put in here, more of a clarification and a little bit of formatting in here. The intent of this policy, actually the policy 2.1, I'm sorry, this is we split this up. We started out originally last month with one policy that was kind of intended to be a blanket for the residential gates and the Mirror Loma gate. We split that now to create a separate policy just for the Mirror Loma gate with a residential gate policy, to be handled at a later date. So this is entirely focused just on the Mirror Loma gate. Purpose, as alluded to earlier in this meeting here, was to kind of get kind of control of what the gate access, or really access to the airport, to try to eliminate card keys that were no longer needed, thereby kind of reducing the potential liability or safety issues with somebody who may have been issued a card many years ago and then suddenly shows up, and so forth. But it's really trying to get control of who has access to the airport. So I just, I'll go through here and kind of summarize it, and particularly for the board, if you have comments to this, please interject. This is our time. Starts out, of course, the policy here is almost written is for the person applying for the card. They'll get this policy, but it's kind of written in a sense of it's for them. They're reading it. Failure to follow policies result in deletion of access card. It's kind of strange because it's really revocation of unescorted airport access privileges, except while in an aircraft. This is number 2, is probably the biggest one. You must have a valid reason for airport access. To receive a gate card, list the potential reasons as hangar, tie down space access by a tenant in good standing, that is, they're current on their payments, at least for the CPAD tenants, owners, flight instructors, individuals that perform maintenance within the airport boundary. And it has, as you see later on, the airport manager is the approval authority for this. There may be special cases where the board has to get involved. Don't quite know what those would be, but we're holding that out. There is a application that will be filled out, as you see later on, that for folks requesting a card that are not on CPAD property, such as the T hangers down there on the ground lease for over there. They would also need to, the landlord or manager of that facility, not sure who would sign there, would need to approve the application. That's our only way to determine if that person we're not familiar with is a valid person. That's the reason behind that. Key cards will not automatically be issued to spouses or anybody else. Each card has to have a separate application for an individual card holder. Otherwise, it gets out of control. And only one card issued per person. Saying that airport operations, kind of a statement of the obvious here for us who know airports, can be dangerous and requires that the individual to read and sign a statement that they have read and understand. To follow the latest version of the CPAD policy 2.1, airport rules and regulations, and sign a liability release form. 2.1 is available on the Camera Park website. That was approved some time ago. The primary thing in there is it talks about operation of vehicles, such as no more than 15 miles an hour. As a cardholder, you're not to lend your gate card to others. Do not use the gate card issued by another individual. Of course, tailgating is not allowed. This policy has gate cards issued for a period of 12 months. Your gate, so you renew it on every 12 months. Renewal applications can be made 30 days in advance of the expiration date. Applications for a new gate card or gate card renewal must be made in person to the airport administration office, our office, during regular business hours. Process is you present your current card for renewal. That way we know it's there. And we're required to sign both the knowledge form the knowledge part here is really the application and the liability form. The airport manager then determines who is authorized to receive a card. The application may require CBAD board approval of a new or renewal application on a case-by-case basis. The only time I think this could come into play is if we have a contractor on field with a number of employees that maybe we're doing, when you get to the point that we get some grant money, we're going to do, resurfacing or things on tie downs and things like that. There may be some case by case to figure out how we handle the gate access for that. Gate cards will be deleted from the system and will not work after 12 months unless a current renewal is in place. So once this is up and running, we go through a cycle on this in particular. If somebody has not applied for renewal and we don't hear from them, their gate card will be deactivated. That's not to say we may try to contact or call them if it's somebody we know in particular and we haven't heard anything, but if we don't hear anything from a while, we'll deactivate that card.
Terry, one of the purposes of this policy is the limitation of the system itself, where we can't have discrete codes for each card. It's basically a universal code on the card. Is that correct?
That is not quite correct. Each card is unique. Yeah.
It is unique. Okay.
The limitations of the system is it's very difficult to work with and program.
Okay. So if someone is issued a card and they lose it, is it easy enough for us to take that number out of the system so it can't be used by someone who finds it, or B, someone they just happen to lose it to, or something like that?
It can be deleted out of the system so it wouldn't work. Okay. Whether it's easily done is another story, because it's a very antiquated system. You actually have to use a separate set of cards, and it's like flashcards to program it, to turn cards on or to turn them off. Be nice if you could do it from a computer, but But the bottom line is each card can be individually turned off or turned on.
Okay, it's just not convenient.
So you notify the airport administration office, our airport manager, if your card is lost or stolen or destroyed. That way we can turn it off, particularly if it's lost, to your point, Glenn.
Okay.
The proposed annual fee for this is $75. Is required for the gate and is required payment due at the time of renewal or their initial application. This is almost written, I might be maybe not very well, but it's written as if this is ongoing. Approved airport volunteers that require vehicle access, which are very few actually, would be exempt from the fee because they are volunteers. However, they must continue to sign out an application and to renew it if it requires a renewal. We're trying to recognize here that we do have volunteers that do need, that's very few to gain access, but the airport manager reserves the right to terminate those as he needed. If a volunteer no longer requires access and it hasn't been a year, that can be turned off and get the card back. That's the only exception to the policy, again, because they're volunteers.
Is there a lost card or replacement fees place or proposed? Seeing that it creates it does create a draw on resources to disable.
Cost it's 13.
Pardon me?
You're right. Yeah, I was looking for it. There is no replacement fee.
13.
Yeah, item 15, no replacement fee.
No,
for, 13.
No, yeah, 15, you're right.
Yeah, so I think this answers it. What was in the proposing is there's no replacement fee for a gate card that has intact, but not functioning properly. Now, I think what you're saying
That's
is
reasonable.
they lose the gate card.
Right.
Yeah, how is this being rolled out, like to existing card holders? Are they required to come in a certain period of time? How are we rolling it out? Sorry if I missed that.
I
For
think we've
new-
gotten that far yet.
Okay,
I'm sorry, what was that, Jeff?
well,
Would be rolled out. I think there, be a notification via email and the website that this new gate policy be in effect, and to contact the airport manager if you need.
right, then we'll need a
access.
time frame. So I just wondered how you kind of have to consider the existing key holders and the new ones. What's the policy? Are we asking, as new one come up, are we implementing it with just new ones? Are we asking everyone to come in within a certain period of time to fill out a new form? So I'm just, these are the questions we'll get, and I just.
That's it. Go ahead, Jeff. That's a very good
Yeah,
question.
I think probably kind of to your earlier point, giving everybody enough time and giving us ample opportunity to reach out to them via email or phone calls. I think maybe something where, by January 1st, if you haven't done it, you get cut off, or December 31st or something like that, where there's gives them a couple of months to get it, to get everything situated. Then you can make everything effective January 1 or 12 months from when they come in or something like that. I think we do need to have like a kind of a hard deadline to get it done that's reasonable.
I would agree. And his question is 3 months sufficient, just picking the January 1st timeframe?
Absolutely.
I think that's pretty generous, actually.
Yeah, I was saying that's pretty generous. We should definitely be able to get that completed by December 31st. I don't think we'll get anywhere close to that, but having a good cutoff time that is the end of the year will definitely get people motivated to get their key cards renewed.
So the communications would be by email or series of emails, the webpage, and phone calls.
And you
and
might,
emails to the
Terry,
individual.
you might want to make a big poster board that even us old guys can see, and post it by the fuel card reader.
Yeah, I can do that as well. We have the billboard.
Everybody can see it every time they're buying fuel. They can see it and remind themselves.
Yeah, I'll be sure to make one and put one up there as well.
Yeah, I think with the mail list, if we start just sending out a, once this is finalized and up and running, send out a weekly or bi-weekly email, for the first month or month and a half. And then if people haven't responded at that point, then start, doing the dial for dollars phone, the phoning them up.
You may want to also post it in the bulletin board there, the glass covered bulletin board at the entrance to the airport.
Correct.
And
Yeah,
put it
so-
on the Miraloma gate and the other, any gate that those key cards use, just put a big sign on those. It's like, reminder, your key's gonna die at the end of the year, so get it updated. So there's lots of ways to get them, especially the people that use it all the time.
I had one thing. So the balance sheet shows that we have deposits, a liability there for gate key deposits of $3,497, and that comes out to about 136 if they're all from $25 deposit. So I wonder if we should have anybody with card keys right now can credit their deposit against the renewal fee, and then of course it'll be not a deposit, it'll be a fee going forward, but that way we can eliminate this liability on the
Yeah, I agree.
balance sheets.
I think that would work well.
Or if you return your card, you can get your deposit back or something like that.
That's a
But-
great incentive,
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, if you're not gonna use it going forward, come on back and get your $25.
$25 back, yep.
But then you're gonna have to have Dominic have a lot of petty cash that you can dole that stuff out of.
True, we can work out with a bookkeeper for that, but yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully most people, the ones that want, can use it as a credit towards the fee going forward.
Yep.
Do you think it would be sufficient for the rollout process to cover that in minutes, or do we need to write up a separate? I don't think it needs to, because once that's done, it's done. I was just thinking, should it be in the policy? But once after December 31st, it goes away.
Yeah,
Because all the process you've discussed with, I think are excellent and excellent suggestions. My thing is we could write that up in the minutes just to document that.
yeah, I don't know what the legal implications are that you paid a deposit. You are probably, if there's any policy about when you can't get it back or anything like that.
Is it a lot different than what we had done with the gate clickers?
I think the clickers we've changed to you got to buy your own, right?
Right.
And we issued a code.
Yeah, maybe not. I mean, I don't know. I just know we have this liability thing on the balance sheet. That would be nice if we could clean that up.
Do you think?
Maybe you could take and make a policy of either renew your card, or unless you return it within a certain time period, you forfeit your deposit.
Sounds good to me if that's.
Buy the cards once a year.
Probably the best way, I think, for Phil, what you're saying is we can capture that in a policy. Is it a
Mhm.
2.3.1 or something, whatever to follow this? Which basically sunsets after December 31st unless we extend it.
You may want to give them, a 30-day period after December 1st to find out their card no longer works, and that would give them the opportunity either to renew or to turn the card in.
Think 3 months is enough.
Well, they may not, who knows? People do some weird stuff. And so if you have the opportunity after your card key doesn't work anymore on December 31st, then he goes into Dominic and, hey, my key doesn't work anymore. And we tell him, well, we posted it, and we've done this, and we've done that. And it gives them even one last opportunity before they lose their deposit.
It may need to allow for potential exceptions. You could have somebody on a year-long motorhome trip or something like that and won't be back here till after that, but unlikely.
Well, why don't we just let the airport manager make an
I was
exception?
gonna
if
say that
it's
too,
reasonable,
yeah.
Exactly.
Give him a little.
And not extend.
Agree. Yeah, you can make exceptions. So I think we're headed toward is a separate policy attached to this one to describe how we handle the deposits. That way it keeps it as an official policy, which I say, if everything expires on December 31st, that policy sunsets. And then the description of how we're gonna, the specifics, maybe how we're gonna post it and stuff, it's cut as much as we reasonably can to capture that in the minutes. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
A quick question about the landlord. So does my partners own the hangar. So do they have to contact you, Dominic, tomorrow and let you know that I need the card or?
So Terry, when you're saying landlord, that's,
It's really,
Try that.
the intent is, here's the problem they're trying to solve, Tiffany. We've got all those T hangers down there and we don't know who's in them. There's no like
No.
official record. Somebody could, right now, somebody could say, I'm Bob Smith, I have a T hanger, and we'd have to believe them. We don't have a way to verify it. So kind of as a question to you, the intent was for the, lack of a better word, landowner, and I think that's Charlie down there. Assuming he keeps track of who's in those T hangers, is for him to sign off on the form. That way it shows that the person who's applying is a legitimate real person.
Well, okay, that's good. So the owners of our hangar tried to contact Charlie and he's not getting back to them. He said, I don't know if I have an old email. So some of the hangar owners are not in direct contact with the owner of that property as far as easy contact, because weeks ago he said, I've tried to contact him. I can't get a hold of
Okay.
him.
Tiffany, you can contact me on that too.
Can you fill that?
Of that property?
Yeah.
Or just so the owner of the hangar, that's right, because you don't know all the owners of the hangars. Okay. But if,
We do have a list of the owners of the. hangar.
Okay.
okay.
So Mike, you
just-
can fill that function for,
I can
what-
help.
What do you want tomorrow, Dominic? Do you need,
Well, Tiffany, let me ask you a question. So it sounds to me like are you subleasing from the owner or leasing from the owner, renting from the owner?
I own a part of the plane that's in the
Got it.
hangar that my two partners own.
Got it. Okay. Okay, that's fine.
I didn't buy the hangar because they didn't offer it to me.
Right.
Yet.
yeah, we don't care about who owns a hangar here. It's just making sure, is that a legitimate person that requires access? And Mike can.
I will work on it for you.
Yes.
I'm coming to get the key tomorrow. Is that still gonna work?
We
'Cause I
approved
haven't
the
been able,
policy- we approved the policy tonight. It'll be implemented and do it tomorrow.
yeah, it's just been tough. I can't get stuff to my plane.
Understand? Yeah, understand. We want to solve that.
Yeah.
And by the way, just also quickly on your, on the hangar numbers. If you don't know the hangar number, that's not as important as saying it's just an authorized. We don't know what the hangar number, if there is any numbering system down on those T hangars.
There's not.
Okay, there's not, then leave that blank. You can put NA in the.
Okay.
I did
Okay,
that
well-
late.
And if you need my partner to call and say I'm there, then that's easy too. I think I can get him to do that.
Yeah, the N number would be useful too. That kind of helps track.
Yeah, that's easy. Okay.
Yeah.
Does the air park pay an annual fee for their gate entrance on that side?
I'm sorry, say again, Tiffany?
Do the air park owners pay an annual fee to come in and out of the gate on the air park side?
No. No, that's a policy mentioned that is not, we have not addressed yet, but that has been always part, if you live in the air park, it comes with that is the access to the airport. But I say right now, we don't,
That's part of our assessment fee.
part of our assessment fee.
But that's not really a gate for driving on the airport, right?
Yeah, it's an
Right,
airport,
so-
it's an airport access. It's really for airplanes, just airplanes.
Right, so if you in the air park want to drive on, you all have to buy a key. But you have no real reason because all your stuff's in your house, so.
Well, to say with the exception say is the volunteers who come through there to do work. And we just have a few of those out there.
Or somebody like me, Tiffany, we've not met, but somebody like me, I live on the air park. But I'm affiliated with the big hangar that has the land under the T hangars, and I'm also affiliated with the flight school. So yes, I would have to buy a key anyway, because I have to come in through the gate.
Yeah, you have to cough it up.
Yep, not a problem.
Any other comments on the policy itself?
No, I think I figured out how to get a key now. Tomorrow, hopefully.
With the vote, now just take a look at the application. This is something I put together. Dominic took a look at it. The intent was to have a separate application, not part of the policy. That way, if we change, things on the application, as long as it meets the intent as laid in a policy of who's the card, what the reason is, and then the approvals, then the application format can be changed. Then there's a separate liability. The policy talks about a waiver of liability. For those who have seen the volunteer waiver of liability, this is essentially the same thing, just replacing, volunteer with gate card applicant.
Hey, Tiffany, have you taken the FAA test on airport access yet?
The FAA test on airport access?
Yeah, it's in section 135-1-1-3. I'm just kidding you.
I was writing it down. I was like,
I was trying not to laugh.
I don't have a little tab on the FARs on that one. What?
Believe it or not, I access Stockton Airport, and there is you have to get 100% on their test to access their airport, not with a vehicle, just to walk on their airport.
Same with
I do too.
Same with Camarillo. It's a yearly test of all the signs and
Yeah.
everything. So
Interesting.
you just write down the answers every year and you're like, I've got to get this one.
So Dominic, if you start getting applications tomorrow and payments for gate cards, make sure we let the bookkeeper know it's probably a new account we need and that it's not a deposit, it's a fee, so.
Okay.
it needs-
I'll make sure that we start separating those away
Yeah.
from any other.
And you may have to create a new entry in the Appman credit card processing, a new product, I guess.
Okay, yeah, I can do that. We talked about making that, so I can do that tomorrow.
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
Boy,
And
for the board,
while we're talking about airport access, Dominic, I think you answered this question for me once, but my memory's gone. Did you verify that the keypad on the walk-through gate is in fact functional?
Yes, and it is the code that is on the flip board on the back.
Okay, then I will start getting prepared to weld that thing up so that it cannot be breached.
Okay, that would be good.
Oh no, all these years of the hole through the wire,
Yeah.
scratching your
Going
hands on
away.
it.
It's going away.
Oh, Mike, there was more that fell off the gate, so now you can just reach around one of the posts. You don't have to go through the fence anymore to open it.
Okay, I'll work on it. I'll take
Okay.
my welding stuff over there and work on it.
Thank you.
They can also mountain goat it around the side on the dirt. I mean, if you
Tiffany,
really.
you only stop the
Agree.
honesty.
Yeah, we weren't looking for.
Sorry.
it helps keep the honest people honest, but yeah, there's
You need
always
to
a
get a
little.
roll of razor wire.
Or do like they do in Mexico, just break glass and throw it in there.
Any, for the board, any comments, changes, suggestions to the policy as written?
I think it looks good.
Again, as we find things and implement this policy, we can always amend this, and re-review at the board meeting and so forth. Which I think we've
We're
done.
good on the
before.
amount, $75. I heard there was, and I don't have a problem with it. I just.
I don't have a problem. it sure filters out for those who just kind of want access to it, to those who are serious need for the
Okay.
access.
I agree.
Okay, let me bring back up the agenda.
$9 a
Okay.
month to get to your plane.
Yeah. It does keep it serious. It does keep it to the serious people need it, as well as, to be honest, it does help, pay for the card system and the airport.
For all of those that do the $100 hamburgers, you can do the
Yeah,
$75.
Least of our worries.
Let's see. What do you see on the screen? Is it showing this to the gay policy?
Yes.
Application.
There. Start sharing.
I see Mike Bigler.
I'm sorry.
Change your view. You can click on the upper right to change your view.
Yeah, I gotta stop sharing. I gotta get the right policy, right? Trying to get back to the agenda. This should be it. Yeah. What do you see?
Adjournment. I have a few couple more questions I didn't get answered.
Okay,
Meeting minutes.
Agenda.
you see the agenda?
Yep.
Yeah, the bottom page.
I just saw the word.
Well, there it is. It's good because I don't see the agenda. Okay, learning how the system operates. Was that Diane? Or who had made has more
Oh, it's
questions?
Tiffany. It's Tiffany. I got called Diane the other day. There's got to be more women than fly than Diane. So how are the transients? How many transient spots are there?
4.
Only 4. Okay. And do you depend on Dominic tagging those, or are transients supposed to come up and drop money in a box?
Dominic, let you respond to that because of what we talked about.
So how it's been before is that there are envelopes and there's multiple boxes that they can drop off their fee into. There's one right next to the transient parking spots. There's also one that's right on the Fuel Master pedestal for when you're going up to refuel. And what I'm going to in place now is that I get in at 8 o'clock usually, so I'll be going around and I'll have rubber bands and envelopes. And I'll be putting it on pedo tubes to remind people that they need to pay for their parking, for overnight parking.
And have you ever had anyone just land and randomly park in one of the spots? Do you have a lot of problems with that, or?
Park in one of the residential spots, do you mean?
Yeah.
Yes, we did have someone who did that about a month ago, and it was looking up their N number and then also leaving a letter on their airplane saying that if this is a residential spot and you need to move to one of these spots that's located further to the south, and then that aircraft left. So it's a situation where it's going through and checking. Generally, people who are in the residential tie down spots, there hasn't been a lot of change. And anyone who does go in and just snags a spot, someone's pretty quick to tell me if they've gone over to do that.
Okay, because yeah, there's not a lot there.
I
Yeah.
think it's pretty rare and it's pretty rare, somewhat tied to that is we didn't talk about it tonight, but there is, because I'm working on it, an airport kind of signage plan. It reevaluates, looks at all our signage, going to be adding some new signs about noise abatement, improved signs that are there. Some of those of which is where the transient parking is, which is only printed, faded paint on the pavement right now.
Yeah, and they're probably supposed to call you prior to coming in and just leaving their plane, right? Dominic?
There's a lot of people who will call because they just have general questions about the airport because they haven't flown in here before. So when it's getting those calls, I usually ask them about what time they're coming in or where aircraft they're flying in. And I have a radio in here, so anytime I can hear those people coming in, it's usually going in and checking on them to make sure that they get in okay.
Okay. And now that you have my email on file, I'll be getting notices probably about the volunteer stuff too.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
And I put in the chat my email and phone number. If you have something in place that you're looking for, maybe in a pilots association or advisory committee, like a mission statement or action plan. I'm interested in spearheading something like that previously. It was just sending out emails or maybe notices and slipping them under hangers if something was really important that needed to get out to people in a different way. So think about it, something that would actually be helpful for you, Dominic. And if you want me to do a little research on how it works at other airports, I can do that too.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Yeah, that's very much appreciated, Tiffany.
Good to bring
Yeah.
us together.
Good. Exactly. Okay, going back to the gate policy, I'd like to make a motion to approve the gate policy as written for the Mira Loma gate.
I'll second.
Can I just,
And I vote
before
aye?
voting, is that with the amendment about you can
Oh.
get your refund? I mean,
Yes, so that, thank
the
you. Camille.
deposit, I mean.
We'll post that as an addition amendment about,
Yeah, okay.
but it may be an additional policy that way. I just give it another, the sequential number, 0.1, because it'll go away after December 31st.
Mhm.
Correct. Keep
So
it-
that would be
Separate
a separate policy we'll formally approve at the next meeting.
Okay.
As we get a document, if that works out okay. So 2.3.1 does not include the policy on handling the fees.
Okay.
With that, I say I'll vote aye.
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 And the motion is adopted, so the gate policy is in place. So we'll and really effective immediately. And Tiffany, it sounds like you'd be the first one.
I think Tiffany should get the first card.
Yeah.
Hey, and
No
Mike,
doubt.
before I forget, if you have a valid email address for the owner of the property where the hangars are, maybe, I don't know if you know my partner, Mark. He said he hasn't gotten a response when he's emailed the owner. So maybe we have a dead email.
No, he's up to about here. in other-
Okay,
Right now.
okay.
One
So
of
maybe-
which is, he just lost his 99-year-old mother. So
Oh, okay. So maybe it's okay. Great.
send it to me if you want to.
Send you what? Any
Yeah.
question?
Yeah.
The okay for me to get my card tomorrow?
Just email me,
I need your email.
Mike at
Okay, Mike at,
citation
what did you say?
citation specialist.com.
Okay, Mike at citationspecialist.com.
Like
And do I need-
citation,
Pardon me?
like the airplane, Cessna citation.
Yeah, got it. Do I need to do that to get my card tomorrow?
That's up to Dominic.
I
I think we're all saying that you're
Yeah,
good.
I think we
Okay.
I've been working on this card since July.
Dominic, I'll come over and sign it after the fact. How's that?
Yeah,
Yes, that would be good.
Okay.
Carrying stuff down the stairs, making me strong.
are there any other comments? We're done with the formal part of the agenda before we close out.
Terry, on Diane's needs to sign her oath of office letter. Do you have that wet copy that we can take over to Dominic so that I can sign it and she can sign it?
The
Or do
only
you-
copy I have is the electronic one that Kim Smith at County Elections gave me.
Oh, she sent it. Okay, she sent you that electronically?
She sent it electronically. I'm going
Okay.
to ask her, do we need to sign it? But her instructions were, once it's signed, and I assume that's also with our district stamp, the embossing stamp, is then we scan it and send it back as a PDF to her.
Oh, okay. So I can go over, if that copy is over at the office, I can go sign it tomorrow and
Okay,
Diane can sign it when
Diane
it's
can come and
available.
sign it.
I'll
And,
come to the office then and sign it.
yeah,
Is
why don't you
that
come to the
okay?
office and sign it? And Dominic, just in case, I'm going to forward you that email from Kim Smith, make sure you got a copy and you print print that out.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Fine. A little better paper than I have too. So. And then we can scan it, then send it back to me and I'll send it to Kim Smith. We'll stamp it with the embossing stamp once it's all signed. That's it. If there's any other comments. Our next meeting, regular board meeting, is October 25th. The board meetings are held for those, you say, Tiffany, it's every 4 weeks. Generally, we don't have one in December, but other than that, it's always at the 4 weeks.
Okay.
Excuse me.
And I won't, oh, I'm sorry. I won't be able to volunteer on the 9th because I'll be at the San Francisco Air Show.
Okay. Yeah, you get all the notices now that you're on the list.
Okay.
That's great. Thank you.
Knew I'd hunt you guys down sooner or later.
You found us. So with that, I'd like to call adjournment at 8:38.
Hey,
Done?
all right, Mike, I will email you for you to give your okay that I'm okay to go get to my
Okay.
plane. Thank you. All right, you guys, thanks for all your hard work.
Just
I know it's
before
a lot of
everyone
work.
bugs out here, hold on a second, just so before everyone bugs out, there's a upcoming movie night on October 8th. That's been announced through FOCA and EA 512 Placerville, so just want to make sure the word's getting out. So.
Excellent. Looking forward to that, Glenn.
You got it.
Yeah.
See you then.
And congratulations. And Diane, welcome on board. Glad you're here.
Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you,
All right,
everyone.
you guys have a good night.
Good
Good
night.
night, everyone.
Sit up.
Good night,
Bye.